Joining us now is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni with today's top stories in the newspapers. Good morning, Mr. Efeni.
Good morning, Mr. Efeni. Tundu. Good morning, Leila. We'll start with these day newspapers. And the lead story and the front page of this day, CBN, banks, others to raise 1.5 trillion to fund infrastructure. Apex Banks rules out devaluation of naira, says microeconomic fundamentals strong, threatens to sanction forex speculators. Yes, that threat. But if we just look at the Sun newspaper, naira under threat.
That's an interesting reading of that press release.
Yes, as a result of this coronavirus. Now, it crashes from 355 naira to 375 naira. The last time I checked, before coming on set, at the black market, speculators, as usual, you're already talking about 420. But you even hardly get the naira to buy.
The dollar?
The dollar, rather, and because there seems to be some hoarding going on. I think that's what CBN needs to deal with quickly, because the more they hoard, the more, of course, the law of demand and supply, the value of the naira is likely to go down at the black market. So that is where CBN has to take the battle to.
Absolutely.
These currency speculators who are hell-bent on catching in on this coronavirus, creating scarcity, and, of course, making a kill.
Which is why the CBN has said that they will impose whatever sanction is available, including economic sabotage. They're not taking it lightly at all. Yeah. But do you think that that was a note of comfort for you, that press statement?
Well, what the CBN is planning to do is these currency speculators seem to be having their way for now. But unless perhaps they make an example of some of these forex dealers who are likely to still have this situation, irrespective of what CBN is saying.
I think it kind of gave me confidence, and I would say it gave the general public a lot more confidence, because the speculation had been flying around for days, and people were losing confidence, not just investors, but average citizens as well that need access to forex, etc. People were losing confidence. There were too many discussions going on about the devaluation of the naira. We had that report from Bloomberg, I believe, that showed them speaking to 20 investors in Nigeria, taking their opinions on the devaluation of the naira, and there was so much out there to literally convince the public that, yes, this is what's going to happen. So the CBN coming out and saying, these are the measures that we have in place. These are the measures that are going to work. It's reassuring. It's now for them just to uphold that and make sure that it is actually what they say. Because, I mean,
But how long can the CBN defend the naira?
This is what I asked our last guest. Is it not inevitable at some point, in spite of their best efforts, which the press statements went into detail about? Here's what we've been doing. It's been successful for 4 years. Very proud of their efforts at, defending the naira.
Yeah,
we
but
have
this is a different
currency.
scenario now.
Exactly.
This is a different scenario.
Exactly.
What they have been doing in the last 4 years,
exactly.
normal situation.
But
now we have a different scenario altogether.
Yes.
That's why it's for them to uphold their word if they're that sure, because you've given that confidence now to the public through this statement. So let's see how it can work in reality. Because, yes, that's a very valid question to ask. We're in different times. We're in different times. We cannot expect that the same policies that have been working for the past 4 years will necessarily work now. So show us that it will.
Because central banks across the world, they are doing things differently now. In the US, for the first time, they had to cut rates.
Yes.
Despite the resistance over time. And, of course, you saw what happened also in the UK, because the times have changed. But if the CBN governor, if he's assuring Nigerians that we shouldn't lose our heartbeats, then let's take him for his word, because he's been doing a lot in recent times.
He has.
Now let's go to other subjects. The Punch newspaper. Yes, 12 senior advocates of Nigeria lead Sanusi's freedom battle. Hearing begins today. Ex-Kanu Emir sues IG, DSS boss fights to leave detention. Soyinka hits Ganduje, says former CBN governor, a reformer. Nasarawa governor, emirs, security chiefs meet deposed monarch. Yes, the Kano State government said Sanusi is not under arrest. It's not banished to anywhere, but is somewhere very far away from Kano, not out of choice, is being restricted. That movement was coordinated by the police and the DSS. These are federal agencies, yet everybody's saying, so the courts will have to perhaps free Lamido Sanusi, Muhammadu Sanusi II.
I mean, it's completely ridiculous, the buck passing. It reminds me of Harry Truman. If for no other reason, the former president of the United States of America, for no other reason, I like him because he had a sign on his desk in the Oval Office, the buck stops here.
Yep.
Shifting blame, abdicating your responsibility, it looks really awful. The fact of the matter is that this man is being imprisoned. He's not in a jail, but it's his imprisonment nonetheless.
Detention.
Yes.
But insubordination,
in
we
a place far away from Kano, which is his homestead. Whether you depose him or not, he remains a citizen and
That's where he's
of
from.
Kano.
He has the right to live there.
Now he wants to go elsewhere. You are not allowing him to go to the place of his choice. He has been given appointments in Kaduna State.
Yes.
I'm sure El-Rufai will be very happy to welcome him to Kaduna, which is just a neighboring state to Kano. So I think he should be allowed to have his freedom.
Every Nigerian has the right to live anywhere in the 36 states of this federation. It's appalling.
It is really absurd
So
that this is happening.
We'll just look out for that, how that will pan out at the courts today, where a number of senior lawyers are ready to at least battle for his release.
He has a good backup there. I mean, 12 senior advocates of Nigeria fighting your case. Quite frankly, that's what you need at this point. So,
Really, though? Really?
what do you think?
even if you have 200 senior advocates, what is that saying? It's a dangerous thing to be right when the government is wrong. I'll just leave it there.
You know what? You're so right.
It depends on the government you're talking about. The federal government has nothing to do with it.
Right.
So says the presidency.
Right.
Meanwhile, federal agencies are the ones that are holding him and restraining him.
Yes. Let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper, fight to finish in APC as opposing camps dig in. Then, of course, the Nation newspaper has a similar story. APC governor seeks Buhari's position on NEC meeting. The APC NEC meeting that is now going to look like a battlefront at the end of the day. All the stakeholders, the gladiators are also holding out. And a number of court cases, court judgments, Ajumobi, Balama, they were in court and they got a judgment that they should be admitted into that meeting, while Oshomole's appeal will be heard on Monday, a day before the NEC meeting. So a lot is happening.
Yes, and it's hard to keep track of it because I'm actually confused. APC Governor seek Buhari's position on NEC meeting suggests that they're looking for approval or something, but the court has already instructed or ordered that the meeting should proceed.
Yes. So they want to know whether President Buhari will be part of it, whether he will attend the meeting, whether he will want the meeting to go on. Because if President Buhari stays away from that meeting, then
the court-ordered meeting will not hold?
No, if he stays away from the meeting, then it's a different... He's not stopping the meeting, but if he stays away...
Okay, that signals something different.
He tells you, then you know, when it comes to the president, you have to read his body language carefully and properly.
He doesn't... He's a man of few words.
Yeah, so I think what the governors are saying that, please show us your body language. Let's know where you are facing.
Show us your body language. Don't tell us.
No, you don't tell.
Yes, no, that's not his style.
Yeah. Then the Guardian newspaper, of course, still the same Sanusi story. Pressure mounts for Sanusi's release. Ex-monarchs use DSS. IGP orders Soyinka lashes out on Ganduje. Varsity postpones honor for ex-emir. Yes, you know, he's been made a chancellor of the Kaduna State University, and they are waiting for him to come for that ceremony to be carried out. Kaduna State will end up gaining from the wealth of experience, the contacts of Muhammadu Sanusi II, because he's on the same wavelength with Nasser El-Rufai when it comes to reforms,
Yes.
as it pertains to the North. But
We'll take a short break now, Mr. Efeni, and we'll be back with more on the news headlines.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still joined by our Arise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni, for the latest headlines in today's newspapers. Hey, Mr. Efeni.
yes, let's go to the Nigerian Tribune. You know, we're talking about the APC crisis. The lead story of the front page of Tribune still the COVID-19. Investors lose 1.87 trillion. 4 Chinese, 39 others quarantined in Plateau, free of virus. That's the good news.
Yes.
FG says no travel restriction yet by Nigeria. But let's just go above the masthead. If you are still wondering about those who are against Adams Oshomole from his zone, read this. APC crisis, Amechi, Keyamo, Dakuku, Ndomaegba, Osumbo, others attend Obaseki's South-South meeting. Don't ask me what they've been discussing in that meeting.
Well, we cannot speculate,
Yes.
but you know...
But now you know the gladiators against Oshomole, because if you are the friend of Obaseki, if you're at home with Obaseki, then you cannot be at home with Oshomole, as we know it today.
We all have to pick a side. But you know, Adams Oshomole was making oblique references to meetings being held at night and what have you.
When do politicians hold their meetings?
At night.
They're nocturnal creatures. But
He
now,
wants to change his own to morning and afternoon.
But now we can see some of what he's referring to.
Yes. Well, we'll see how it pans out. But clearly, there is a divide within the APC. And that divide, if not properly handled, may just be the beginning of something else for the APC.
Yes,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Now, let's still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. ASU's meeting with reps deadlock says it's not on strike just for IPPIS. I don't agree with ASU because this strike only took off when their salaries were stopped.
Exactly.
After months of the federal government appealing to them.
Since October.
Yes, since October to enroll on the PPIS. Now but in calling this so-called warning strike, they have now added all outstanding issues.
Going all the way back to 2009.
Which is disingenuous, if you ask me.
I think so.
And when the federal government said the strike is illegal, because they did not give notice. Convention 98 of the International Labour Organization Convention states that you must give your employer notice, 20 days minimum for non-essential services, 40 days for essential services. They've not done any of that. And they're on strike, calling it warning strike. Strike is strike.
Exactly.
But don't they have a meeting as well on Monday? Because reports on this day this morning were also showing that they had come to some sort of agreement to merge the IPIS system with the existing that ASU has. Or is that not?
But that was on the table previously.
Yes.
I don't know why it didn't
I think
pass,
it's back.
but it was on the table. But you see, my issue, I think ASU is keenly aware that public opinion is not on their side, which is why they have to
really
couch it as a warning strike. Yeah, because it's just, why are you calling a warning strike? I think they understand that the public is just not in sympathy over this issue, the general public.
And also, I think ASU need to also embark on what they call balloting, to know whether all lecturers for this, because you have this
56% though have registered on IPIS.
And then they say they were going to fine them.
Yes, they're
then
going to
you
be
have
sanctioned.
a new union in the academic world now that are also saying they're not part of ASU.
Yes.
So I think perhaps before ASU calls off some of this strike, they should do some voting among the lecturers, because it has to be democratic also.
If 56% have registered, that is the vote right there. The majority have
no,
registered
the
on IPIS.
56% actually is 56% of university staff.
Not the academic.
Not ASU. Because ASU, they seem to be well entrenched in their ways.
But ASU is claiming that they will sanction their members who have enrolled. So that among that 56%, ASU members are
So
there.
why would they sanction their members? There's freedom of action, freedom of association.
But they've said that they will sanction them.
Yeah.
So the ASU members have enrolled on IPIS.
But I think ASU should just look for a way to call off this strike.
I think so.
It's just gone too far.
Because the student body really cannot be inconvenienced over this kind of matter.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's the worst part. It's a student body that we're talking about here. Like that, it's an appalling situation. It is.
Now, if we just go over to the foreign newspapers. Yes, let's start from the UK. Let's start from the UK, where the Times of UK and most newspapers in the UK delivered this very chilly message from the minister, regarded as one of the bleakest message by a prime minister in recent memory. Many more families are going to lose loved ones. Then the Daily Mail puts it this way: many loved ones will die. I can imagine my Nigerian brother saying, "It is not our portion in the UK."
I reject that. I rebuke.
But you know what? He's being
the situation in the UK is also quite dire, because right now the figures released is far from the reality, because they are not doing enough testing. And 20 times more than official figure of the 520.
Well, they're saying between 5,000 to 10,000 cases are probably in the UK right now. And that's extremely worrying, because I believe every single county has been affected except for Norfolk, which means that the whole of the UK is covered in this virus.
So for
those
those
who are not really sure about Norfolk, because they're not releasing that information anymore,
true.
recall.
So for those who have not been identified, they are still mixing maybe with others.
Yes, and spreading it.
Yes, so it's a very serious situation, but the Prime Minister couldn't have put it in any other way than to tell the people that, look, we should expect more deaths from this COVID-19 virus.
But he actually could, you see. For me, this is the interesting part about this. The different ways different governments all over the world are approaching this. Some people are playing the ostrich, like Donald Trump, who tried to deny the obvious for as long as he could. And even till now, is still trying to play politics with it. Then you have Boris Johnson's approach. So as it continues, I think there's so many lessons to learn for the next pandemic, which unfortunately there will be one. Every few years we have this. So that governments, we can all learn from one another.
But I would about saying, I hope this is the last of the pandemics.
It certainly won't be, though, unfortunately.
I think that's too much to hope for.
Well, come to Africa. Let's look at the star of South Africa. Now, Corona, South Africa on the edge. Over 100 repatriates back from China. Yes, the 100 South Africans in Wuhan province. They will be touching down this morning in South Africa.
Good.
And yes, the South African government have made provisions for them. They will be housed in a hotel where they will be for between 14 and 21 days. But guess what Lesotho has done? They have shut their borders. They are not taking chances.
Am I not surprised?
Yes. They have become the first African country to shut their borders because of coronavirus.
That too is a legitimate response. I'm just thinking, let's all just watch and learn and see. It's in hindsight that we'll see what the best approach is.
Should Nigeria be shutting its borders anytime soon, or banning travel from certain countries?
Can I just say?
I would.
I would as well, but I also genuinely believe that out of every country that is affected by this right now, Nigeria has had the best global response. And I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but we have done so well. The fact that Corona has been here since February 24th, today is Friday the 13th of March, and we have only 2 cases that are also both doing well. I mean, quite frankly, I think we've done better than any country on the face of this planet. We've done the best. We have. I mean, I'm not trying to say we're free of it.
I wouldn't say we've done the best. I think Taiwan is number 1. We don't know that much about Taiwan because you have to go out of your way to look for that, because China is blocking WHO from cooperating with Taiwan. But for me, Taiwan is number 1. South Korea, too, has done well with their drive-through testing. That was excellent. But Nigeria, I do think Nigeria's government deserves commendation on the handling of this crisis.
Well, if the outcome is anything to go by, then you can give Nigeria pass mark.
So far.
Yes, thus far. Well, the coronavirus, the impact on the economy. The Wall Street Journal. Virus batters economy. Dow post worst day since 1987 as outbreaks impact deepens. The U.S. and the world economy look increasingly likely to slip into recession. And
well,
that was a sea of red yesterday.
In fact, for the 2nd time in a week, they had to suspend trading the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes, Reuters called it a circuit breaker.
I like that.
Yeah, that's why it's stuck.
And I mean, the U.S. takes up 80% of the global capital markets, so that's an effect for everyone.
Yes, and it affects other markets equally responded to that situation. But the Wall Street Journal is also saying that the crisis tests president's ad-lib style. And yesterday's knock at the New York Stock Exchange was also attributed to the president's flip-flop ban on travel and trade and no trade.
Yeah. People are banned, goods are not banned. It's like topsy-turvy. Yeah.
So that has also contributed.
And then the UK and Ireland are exempted from the ban, but there'll be more deaths in the UK than any other country in Europe, apart from Italy. So it's just a very bizarre policy.
To add to that as well, Donald Trump himself is also now at risk of coronavirus. Simply because, was it not the press secretary to the Brazilian president that he was with him just a few days ago?
Yes. Well, President Trump looks more sober now.
Yes.
It's not as boisterous.
Oh, he thought he could wish it away. Oh, yeah. He thought he could spin it. You can't spin a pandemic.
Yeah, land of the great. It can't touch us. Hey-ho, it did.
But they are also making moves.
We only have a few seconds left.
Yes, okay. New York Times, the worst route for Wall Street since 1987 crash, but House set to vote on rescue plan. Sick leave, tests, tax credits to be given to many in America. So
the House of Reps to the rescue.
Yes, so they've almost reached an agreement with the Trump administration to pass that at least as a relief to
Thank you.
Thanks,
America.
Mr. Efeni.
Thanks, Mr. Efeni.